Welcome back to the channel, my YouTube family. Welcome back to Life Behind the Sticks. Hope you're doing well and are staying safe. So, today what I thought I'd do is I'd talk a little bit about webcams, specifically the webcam that I use and how to get the best out of the camera. On a reasonably low budget. I know a lot of you would like to do this, but the cost of a camera or a DSLR or something like that is a little bit inhibitive. Today we'll talk about how to get the most out of a fairly economical webcam. Hope you're going to enjoy it. Let's get into it. So, one of the most popular webcams that's used by many YouTubers and Twitch streamers, etc., is the Logitech C920. Now, the 920 is a fairly old webcam, but still many YouTube streamers and Twitch streamers use it, and it's been a standard for a long time. Now, they did upgrade that webcam to a C922, which is the one that you're seeing now, the one that I use. The only difference between both of those, apart from price, is the fact that the C922 will do 1080 at 30 frames, whereas the 920 would only do 720 at 60 frames. So that's the only real difference in those webcams. The top end of the 920 was 720. So I'll pretty much film this in 720 at 60 and I have no issues. So the cost of the 920 at the moment I think is around the $50 US mark, and this 922 is around the $80 US mark roughly, on Amazon or the various places where you might find it. So pretty economical, under $100, and the quality is pretty good. Now, what I want to do today is talk a lot about how to get the most out of the webcam and get the quality up. Now, I am using a video light, and I will do a separate Life Behind the Sticks on video lights and why they're important. But you can use all kinds of different lighting on a budget, if you're on a budget, and get not same result but similar result, and we'll cover that in a different subject when we do the lighting element of this. But for now I will do some footage where we're going to switch the lights off and we're going to play around with the software. Now, this took me a while to get onto, as far as trying to get the quality of the webcam to where I wanted it. I was never really happy with it until I suddenly realised that if I play around with the software, you can actually get a fairly nice quality out of it. Now, the other thing that for intro, and I use it for intros and all kinds of stuff on the channel, as well as streaming, as you might have noticed. So you should always be looking to improve what you're doing on your channel, whether you're on Twitch or YouTube or whatever. And so I've been playing around maybe in the last 6 months with a lot of different software packages to try and get the most out of my webcam. And I actually came back to Logitech's proprietary software, which is called the gaming software, Logitech gaming software. Now, you could also use Logic Capture for this, and I was using Logic Capture to record for a while, but I just wasn't quite getting the quality out of at the webcam that I wanted. So I actually use Logic gaming software, and I'll go through how that all works, and hopefully I'll be able to show you on screen at the same time how it's affecting the picture. And yeah, I'll try and do them side to side so you can see them. But yeah, play around with the different software. Logic Capture and the Logitech gaming software should be on both platforms of Windows and Mac. If you don't have a Logitech webcam, then I'd suggest you seek out the proprietary software for the particular webcam that you do have and play around with it. Now, I do also have another software that I play around on Mac called Webcam Settings. That helped a lot in the early stages, but I've stopped using that now. Like I said, I just leave it with the proprietary Logitech software, and that does good enough for me. And yeah. So let's have a look at how that software, what that software looks like, and how to get into it and tweak it, play around and tweak it. See, I have the Logitech gaming software up here, and so there's a number of things you can do with it. You can zoom it in and out. You can prioritize it with either frame rate or exposure. That is up to you. If you do frame rate, it's actually much better because it will make sure that everything syncs up. But up to you how you want to prioritize that. But the main thing is that I like to go is with the video settings here, and these are the very, very basics. We'll get into advanced in a minute. Now, if you see the word auto, switch it off. That's my first tip to you. You want to have full control of what's going on in your video camera. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to switch that video light off there, and we're going to play around with it and see what happens. So there we go, completely in the dark now. You can see the camera is having a hell of a time focusing. We're very dark, and you can see without a light what difference it actually makes. However, if I play around with the brightness, I can get a pretty good result. Now, one of the things that you're going to find that if you don't have a video light, you're going to have a lot of noise in your picture. So that's one thing. So play around with the brightness to start with. Your white balance, you might get this kind of stuff going on, yellow and blue. You want to try and get it as close to your natural skin tone as possible. Sharpness, I wouldn't worry about too much. If you want to saturate it, you can. If you want to go the old black and white, you can do that, but I'll leave it in the middle somewhere for now. Contrast and brightness is what you want to focus on. And yeah, you can see that the contrast actually sharpens it up a lot. So we got to this point, you know, you're starting to get it. It looks a little bit muddy, but if you play around with the contrast, it will come good. So we've played around at that for a while. We're really not getting any more joy out of that, so we're going to go to advanced, and the advanced actually gives us a whole lot more to play around with. So auto gain, again, untick that, and you can start to play around with it. Now you can see behind me I've got a light source which it's actually boosting up as well. There's not a lot I can do about that, but again, I've been able to play around with the gain setting, and it's not too bad. It's actually coming good. But where the magic happens is you can see you get advanced settings there, and you've got webcam control as well, and you've got another one with exposure and autofocus. Autofocus, really, that it does nothing. So whether it's on or off, it's negligible. Exposure though will help you a lot. And really, it's just a case of starting to tweak all of these, play around until you get the magic formula that works for you. And eventually you're going to see that it'll just suddenly snap into a nice little kind of place that you want it to be. Oh, hang on, we nearly. That is not too bad. That's actually getting pretty close. So just keep mucking around with these, keep playing around with them until you get what you need. Where's the exposure going? There it is. Now, also, if you've got dark clothing or you've got stuff like this, it's going to affect it. But that's actually getting not too bad. Certainly not as good as having a light on, but that's not too bad. So there we go, that's how to get the most out of your webcam. My last tip is to, once you get your settings where you want them, screenshot them. That's my last tip, because if you're like me, if you need to tweak them, or if the software resets or updates or does anything weird, it might reset your settings. So update them, make sure that you're saving your settings. Logitech gaming software allows you to save the settings, and make sure you've got a screenshot which you can put somewhere safe where you can find it. And if you ever have a problem, at least you've got a reference point to go back to in the future. So that's how I advise you get the best out of your webcam settings. I hope it's been useful for you. I know it's something I struggled with for quite a while, until I kind of got onto this little trick of just playing around with all the settings manually, and eventually I did get the quality up and running. So I hope you're enjoying this series, Life Behind the Sticks. Like I said, I've got plenty of ideas coming. You might have noticed in the footage I do record now using OBS, and I'm happy to go through and talk about that in conjunction with this, talking about webcams and lighting and everything else, and how I actually do that in the software that I use to record my intros and these kind of videos. If you want to see that, please leave a comment down below. A like rating's always appreciated. If you haven't subscribed yet, you might consider subscribing, or not. It's up to you. That is completely up to you. But if you do subscribe, I advise turning on the notification bell so you don't miss any great stuff that's coming up on Gaming for XP. And we'll catch you next time on the channel. See ya.